Hi, I'm Jocelyn Kessler. People tell me I see the world a little differently, and maybe they're right. I've always been fascinated by the way humans and animals mirror each other, interact with each other, and even teach each other. So if you love animals, stories, or just looking at the world a little sideways, you're in the right place. Welcome to Future Dog. Hi everyone, welcome to Future Dog. I am your host, Jocelyn Kessler, and we are just going to get right into it and talk about ducks and Meghan Markle. So there's recently a story last couple weeks that sparked my interest. It was Oprah Winfrey helping Meghan Markle get a group of mother duck and all her newborn babies off of their property in Montecito and right across the way to Oprah's property because it is dire. Like I'm talking, it is an emergency. It was on Easter. So, I mean, I would think most people would love to see baby ducks born or make their way to your life on Easter Day, but not here. So that's how the story goes. Oprah has to jump in, gets a call, blah, blah, blah. But what really bothers me about all this is, and what we want to go over is kind of something we like to call performative empathy, right? It's that need that you need something, right, from it, that it's not pure, it's not authentic, right? It's like, how can you look at me? How can I get it? And the one thing that I want to go right over, I want to get out right at the beginning of the show, because I think it's important, is the 3 red flags of performative empathy, right? So one of them is a lag time in the sense of, does your phone come right out when you want to come in and help, or you want to be involved, or you see something that you, want to volunteer and help in some way? Do you jump right in, or do you say, wait a minute, let me get my phone out, get the camera, get the IG up, or that? That's one sign. Next one is a self-focused language. Me, I, right? It's not at all about the other. In this scenario, the animal, it's not about that. And then, of course, how quickly, once they've stopped rolling the camera or once someone stopped recording, how quickly do you fall out of that and be really who you are, right? How quickly that. Those are 3 red flags. And I will have to say that all 3 of those red flags were prevalent here with Meghan Markle and Prince Harry and and their ducks and the Oprah story. So here's the thing about all of this. We have a culture that is incredibly saturated with untruth, right? Everything is, what can we show you so you'll believe? And then when the camera or the picture stops, you're like completely different human being, right? When the door closes, it's like, God, I fucking hate ducks. I wish those ducks would never move here. Oh, I love dogs. Let's get an Easter basket by the dogs and the babies, and let's post a picture and let's have the beauty of it to sell it so you'll like me and it won't. So why we say it's performative empathy is that we always have a subject that we usually use for that performative empathy. And in this case, we have these poor ducks, right? Animals are the easiest way to use them. That's why you have all these influencers and stars, right? Who will, lean in and have a picture with their dog, or they're out doing something with horses or goats, because if you are a hollow shell and you are disconnected and you are literally trying to sell something to yourself and then out to the public, then what better resource could you have to help sell that untruth or that bullshit claim that you want to put out for some attention than an animal? Why? Because animals are in full truth. They don't sugarcoat. They're in the moment, they're right there. It is what it is, right? If an animal, and I've seen this, if an animal wants to run and help, let's say, another animal, or there's a baby struggling, which I've always seen, I've also seen, the animal doesn't say, wait, could you call the post and make sure you have a camera person lined up there? And does everyone know that I'm actually going to go rescue or help that infant or that animal? Do they know? Get your phone up, get the shot. Do we have lighting? Who else could we tell? You get where I'm going with this? First of all, if you're walking in truth, you don't have time for that shit. That's why animals are great. They don't have to set the shot up. They don't have to set a faux scenario up or a funny scenario up so you could like them or buy from them. All right, knowing that, let's get into what happened in the sense of Oprah Winfrey and Meghan Markle. They have a long history. It seems to be that in 2024, Oprah was able to put Meghan's touch of cream set on her favorite things list. They seem to be quite social. I know that she was attending the wedding. So let's just say this. We have established a sense of a relationship. What goes on the day of Easter Sunday? Oprah Winfrey gets a call from Harry saying that they have discovered that a mother duck has given birth to what looks like quite a few healthy baby ducks, which I've got to tell you, and especially in Los Angeles, even though you're in a beautiful section of Montecito, it is not easy. Animals are not having an easy time. So you have a baby, a female that has birthed healthy group of babies. And that's a really great. You have some land. Apparently, Harry doesn't believe it. Meghan doesn't believe they have enough land to house babies. We're going to get an image up of a long shot of Harry and Meghan's home in Montecito, as well as Oprah's, so you can see and probably have empathy for Harry and Meghan. They don't have enough room to house these ducks. Okay, they just don't. And there's a lot going on between jam making and photo sessions. So Oprah gets a call about the ducks. There's a lot of babies, and Harry is adamant that they have to move these ducks from their place, which is a hop, skip, and a jump, over to Oprah's place. All right, they have to move the ducks over, and it has to happen right at the time that he calls, because it must. Now, and I've done some research and looked, we've never gotten a true reason why these ducks had to be moved or these babies had to be moved. Looks like they have a lot of land. The reasoning that at least Oprah said was that they have just a creek and a small waterway, where Oprah has a lake, and it would be a much better place for the babies to grow up. I think that's a bunch of bullshit. I think it's exactly what we wanted. We want to kind of set this up as a scenario. At the same time, I believe that Meghan probably was going to have a real problem with a lot of duck shit all on the grounds, and hopefully no one's feet gets into them, or it's dirty, or I don't know. I just think she's that type of person. I think it has nothing to do that it's a better home there. I think it has to do with a cleanliness thing, which I have to tell you, at this point, I would have 40 groups of ducks on there before I would have Meghan and Harry on my property. But the long and the short of it is that they want to get them over. Oprah complies and says it is Easter, but we're going to help you. And apparently, I don't know how it worked, but before that call, what I'm getting in some of the sources here is that before that call even took place, we have the perfect stage for a virtue signaling, so to speak. And we can use that performative empathy to its most. And what is that? One of the red flags of that is the first thing they did before they made the call, before they decided to get the animals over there and complain that they can't be and how adamant is, they got their phone out and they got Instagram up, and they immediately got a picture of Meghan in her very clean, white, very ethereal dress on Easter. Got her dress, and she's watching the ducks and the mama duck, which what I think we don't know is that they had just been ushered from one area to this area where they got the picture of Meghan pushing, looking like, faces like, like this beautiful thing with the ducks. Snap, snap, snap. We get the picture, right? We get the picture and she looks, oh, she loves it, loves it. And then right after that, we send it out. I don't remember what the caption, but it was something like, a beautiful Sunday miracle. It was along that lines, right? Virtue, virtue. Okay, signaling, that caption. Once that was done, that's when we picked the phone up and said, get these fucking ducks off our property. And that's what I'm saying, that people are so over out in the world, is that it's completely two different, it's a hypocrisy, right? We see it all the time. This time, though, we've used animals, and we've seen this a lot, and maybe that's what drives many people crazy, is that you have the most disconnected, kind of mentally inept celebrities and individuals that are really, we can make fun of this, but the more and the more that this happens and that it's allowed and known, it's almost disgusting at this point. We as human beings have enough to intake and see out in the world to have these individuals who are living in la la land to go and set up these scenarios so you can like them, so you can, support them. And don't they feel good? And that's the hypocrisy. Okay, here's the one thing that I do know. It is illegal in the state of California, and for sure in Los Angeles area, to move ducks, and babies for sure, to move any form of fowl from one area to another. That's fact. It's illegal. It's also legal with, believe wildlife, fish and game as well. You don't do it. Here's my problem. If we caught, and maybe we never knew it, but let's say Joe Schmo in some small neighborhood, in some small house, in some small town, had a lake and didn't want the ducks and some babies there, and the individual who's their neighbor was videotaping them trying to move these ducks. My guess is if they videotaped them and sent them into the county or something in the state, that small individual with the tiny little house and tiny little lake would probably get fined. It would go, social media would send it out, and I bet the average individual would get a fine from the state, the county, for doing such. But here, we've made this into a whole publicity thing. Yet another, right? Because our jams weren't working. So now we're going to hope that nature can provide us with a mama and some babies on Easter Sunday that we can move over to the next property. What people don't understand is that we're laughing and I'm making all these kind of, red flags to what this is and how this is a common thing among celebrities or among those who, one, has power, that would be the Oprah side, and then the other side is individuals that think they have power, right? And they have nothing. So they've got to use the one with power, kind of stitch it in. I'm surprised Oprah lasted this long. I'm sitting here and reading all this and they're using her all the time for their so-called move up. But she's a heavy participant in this. The story was recanted on a couple different platforms. I believe on, I think it's that Kelly and Mark show. She recanted it laughing, it must have bbeen a lot of stress. The babies are scared. The mother's flapping her wings, upset. Here's what you all you need to know. Animals don't know what the shit is. Okay, they don't know what this is. That's not how they function. This is a dog who was lucky to have a full bred here of a bunch of what looked like very healthy, spry babies. She had them. She was able to give birth to them. She didn't know whose property she was on. She didn't know where that. She doesn't have any idea of that, right? These are animals living their lives out in a world that's not easy to live in. On property, it's not easy to live in. Even though they have a lot of property and a nice home, I guarantee you any animal that's lasted this long on that property, wild or domesticated, has a real hard time living there. So energy alone is probably disgusting. So to get over to Oprah's is probably an ideal setting. But I say this, I say shame on both of them. Number one, I would say a little bit shame on Oprah Winfrey. What happened, Oprah? I don't know. You know, I mean, for years, I remember constantly, if I wasn't reading a magazine or listening to an interview, of how important truth was and how important transparency was and how important connection was and loving oneself and having respect for others and the animals, right? All the dogs we've adopted, all of the foundations that we have given to, right? Because it is so incredibly important. Even Meghan has shown up at she shows up occasionally at dog adoptions where she's got her hand in there, right? That's a different case. But you have Oprah here. I mean, I believed her for a long time. I would say a lot of people probably believed her for a long time. I believed a lot of people for a long time, right? So it was good, right? I mean, it worked for me. I mean, maybe we're busting the glass ceiling on how we virtue signal, or we have performative empathy and the red flags that we have out in society and the things I meant. If you read something that it looks like it was a setup and those cameras are out. We just did a show about the carriage horse in New York. If it looks like everyone's set up for it, you know what? I would just stay away from it. I read it because I wanted to bring it up on an animal standpoint and on a society standpoint. What's the best thing we could do? Not read it, not look at it. That's their hopes, right? But now we're talking about it. The difference is Oprah had a real value out in society for quite some time, have known for that. So I guess I am, and probably others are a little boggled in the mind of, God, did you just it's like you sell your soul short to Meghan Markle. Really? Either way, no one got in trouble, right? No one was said. We laughed about it. I'm sure there's no citation in Oprah's mailbox, or Meghan's going to walk down with her toast and jam and her freshly made, coffee and honey and her dog and maybe a basket of eggs to the left, and she walks through the mailbox like every other person, right? They go to the mailbox, and she's going to get a citation for moving a mother and her ducks. They're not going to get it. Right? And it doesn't matter whether it's that or anybody else. I think there was some kind of defamation suit filed at some point by Meghan's sister that I think it seems to be, and when in research done, it just seems to be kind of either hovering or just going to go away. So maybe that's what bothers many of us and probably shares my same sentiment of these individuals and this bullshit. We are in a time that this bullshit's not going to play anymore. We don't have time for this. We've got some serious issues out in this country. We've got some serious issues in our homes. We've got some serious issues on how we treat people, how we treat animals, how we treat our land, how we say we treat them, and then what we really do. We say one thing, we do another. And it's kind of to fool all of us out there, right? I mean, God knows Meghan has tried many times. And I would say that in the last 2 years, Oprah has probably really punched up her PR team pretty good, right? We got to get some authenticity out there for Oprah, right? This is one thing I didn't see in the interviews, in the interview I watched and the interviews I read. And then we did a bunch before doing this show. We did a pretty good sweep of, prior history here, at least in the last 5 years. So I would say what I didn't see from Oprah and what I didn't see, and of course I don't expect that from Meghan Markle, but what I didn't see from Oprah, and I kind of do expect it from her, I didn't see an apology. I didn't see, or hear, that really bothered me, because there is a law, and I know that in moving animals, specifically ducks and their offspring from land in California. It's a big deal. And we must really be conscious of that, especially in this day and age when land is not aplenty anymore, right? Because everyone's buying it up, right? And we know who's that's part of. Let's buy up all the land we can. Let's usher all the animals out. Let's buy land up from under people too. Let's usher them out. Hello, California. Right? So land's an issue. You have a lot of it, but we'd like to not have a lot of it. So point being is it's hard for animals. And they still live there with all of you. Right? They don't make the same money. They didn't choose it. They didn't have a realtor to buy that place. But they fucking live there with everyone else. They live in the mountains that run the back of your house, in the ocean down the way. They live there. And they don't care about this shit. I have 5 pages of notes about the whole setup of that shot with the ducks. And nobody's been fined, and nobody said that shouldn't have been done. And in the interview, no one said, God, the stress on a mother. Let me give you an example. Let me see if you can all feel this. Let's say for those, I don't have, I'm not going to have children in this lifetime, so can only have empathy for those who have children. I can have feeling as a woman, but I do have friends and clients, children, and a couple that recently had new babies. And I would say this, if you're a new mother, you just had a baby, right, in the hospital. You have a baby, baby's out, thank God, you had a good pregnancy, baby is healthy, okay, just a few minutes later, excuse me, sorry. We need you out of the hospital, okay? We need to get this kid, we need to get you up. Well, I'm not ready to go. You need to go. You need to get out, you need to move, and we need you to move across the street to this other hospital because in this one, we don't want mothers and babies anymore. Now we're gonna be doing this. Well, I just had this baby. Get up now, get the hooks off, let's go. Get your stuff. Let's go. Get your stuff. Let's go. We got to move. Let's go. We got to move. Get your kid. Get the kid. Well, I gotta get help. Get the kid. Let's get the kids. Let's get out. I don't know. How's that feel? So, I mean, essentially, I think it is, I say thank you to Oprah and Meghan for your insecurity and need for attention. And I say thank you for society, on behalf of society, and Mary's come in. Mary thanks you for your insecurity, your need for attention, and your outright being just ignorant to the state of animals, the land, and the universe, being almost like a puppet. We want to thank you for being that. Keep producing the jam. It ain't never going to work. But keep producing it. Go out. You don't have ducks on your property anymore. You have the ability. Maybe you can expand your honey business. I don't know what it is. I'm surprised you didn't use the ducks and get them involved in your business. I think that was a bad strategy. I mean, you could have paid them on the table. I'm not quite sure. You could use any help you can get. So I say thank you out to society as a whole, because every time we watch all these individuals doing that and these celebrities and this disconnect, and especially Oprah, who has such a heavy history about being good. About being good, right? It's all about being truthful and good and loving your neighbor, loving your animal, right? If people like me loving Mary, and then in 2 seconds when the camera off, I'll be like, get this fucking dog off this goddamn chair. What's the difference? Here's the difference. Thank goodness the society is waking up and they can see that quicker than we've ever seen it. And the more that we can catch it, whether you're these people or you're anyone else, because we know it's running rampant, we can see it right away. And my hope is then we can register it with ourselves, because there are a lot of good people out there. There's a lot of good people. And we can register it with ourselves before we even give it another 60 seconds to these individuals of, you know what, I'm not going to partake in that shit. What is wrong with these people? That's not what we do here. And the fact that we look to them, again, I don't say this about Meghan. I'm going to wrap this up right now. I don't say this about Meghan Markle because Meghan Markle, she's trying to claw, trying to have an existence here, okay? But Oprah, really? It's a disappointment. I mean, it's a disappointment because for so long, I don't anymore, but so long I did believe that she did care about certain things. Now it's all said, right? Why? The also beauty of it is it's not just Oprah, it's not just Meghan Markle, it's not just Harry, it's not just, I'd love to relocate them. I don't have a problem. Like, I would relocate Harry and Meghan, like, out to some farmland in the middle of Ohio, right? Come on, let's relocate them. It's easy. Why don't we do that? I have a better idea. Instead of the citation, okay, we're not going to do the citation. I got it. No one's going to humor me and do the citation in Oprah's mailbox. Instead of the citation, let's relocate. Right? We have these white vans. We take animals to and from all the time. I bet the Asher House would help out. We relocate Harry, Meghan, all the jam, the honey, all the shit that they have, the kids, and whatever they have surviving animals to like Ohio farmland. Let them way away where they can go and be what they want to be, where we don't have to be a part and they don't need to complain. I'm saying, Oprah, come on, you've got some strings pulled. Let's relocate. Instead of relocating the ducks, let's relocate these people. That's how I feel. At this point, I would say all the animals, and specifically those ducks, have more grace, class, authenticity, and real meaning to be here than anyone else around and involved. And I didn't even get my phone out and take a video of that one before sending it all out to you. All right, on that note, maybe we'll get better behavior. Thank you for joining me on Future Dog. Mary thanks you. She's falling asleep. There's nothing Mary hates more than when you're inauthentic. Animals hate that. They can smell it. And even if you think they don't know and you're walking around that way, kind of like an asshole behind closed doors a lot, but you say that you love your dog loves you. But trust me, they know who you are. Have a good day. Bye.